Today's a doozy. I've got a good one for you today because I'm going to be talking about manipulation. And the reason I'm going to be talking about this is I've seen so many people use manipulation without knowing it. And then I've also seen men control a lot of women using manipulation. And so I sat down and I was talking with my children yesterday about it. And I realized that people need to know and understand what manipulation is or how it's being used so that then they can be aware of it and change themselves or be able to not be manipulated. I have seen these techniques that I'm going to talk about today be used by men who are extremely controlling to the point where they get the woman to feel like everything is their fault, to feel like they are, without them in the picture, they're nothing. That is absolutely 100% completely false. Anybody who's listening to this right now, I don't care, man, woman, boy, girl, you are priceless. You are so very valuable. And I want to teach you these different forms of manipulation so that you can avoid them yourself, that you can avoid people doing them to you, and you can avoid doing them to other people. Now, we will use manipulation in a lot of ways. And you can manipulate somebody in a positive way. And you can manipulate somebody in a negative way. Well, either way, it's still manipulation. You need to recognize what you're doing and to be conscious of it and make sure that you're not doing it in a negative way. So one of the first manipulation techniques that I'm going to talk about that is really common is by force. Just pure force. They tell you to do something or else because, and they use fear. They use fear, they use resentment and anger to manipulate you to do something. A lot of times parents will use manipulation. Not intentionally, but they do. Like they don't realize that they're doing it. And I'm as guilty as that. I am extremely guilty with that. Because I'll tell my kids, you can't have this without doing this first. That is a form of manipulation. But how are we doing it? Yes, I've done it out of force. You get in there, you do that now. You have to use manipulation in some ways. If you know of a way to be able to get your children to do some of the things that they're supposed to do without kind of some force sometimes, I would absolutely love it because I'll include it in my parenting course. But we've got to be mindful of it and try not to use them in a negative way. So force, using fear, using anger, using resentment, and really kind of putting the other person almost into this, I'm sorry, to where they start to cower. If your child, if your loved one or a friend starts to cower, you're using too much force. Way too much force. Second form of manipulation is kindness. Oh man, I've seen this kindness manipulate people tremendously. Now you may say, well, what's the big deal about using kindness? Well, that's great, except for there's a hidden agenda. So they out here, there's all this love and thing, but there's this secret wall that they're trying to get through so that by them showing kindness, you'll help them achieve this result. Now, what I mean by that is they'll use a lot of emotion. An example of that would be like, oh, Jessica, you are so amazing. You are, I love you. You're just so great. I really would love to go to a game with you sometime and to, go get this or go do that, but I don't have money and I would love to take you, but I just don't have money. How many times have what I call men that need to grow up done that? Where they use this kindness, oh, you're so wonderful. Oh, I wish I could do, but I can't because of this. And they almost go into this pity party mode. But because they understand women are extremely emotional, they are extremely connected in an emotional way, they use that to get what they want, to achieve what they want. I've seen women, I'm skipping down, but where kindness is tied with the physical manipulation, where the women will do stuff, or men, this is not just, but this is poignant right now because of some things going on, but where they will use kindness, oh, you're so great, I love you, oh, I just want to do this, but I don't, I can't afford it, or this and that. Where then the woman will spend out her money or do whatever that person wants. And then they will even take it to the point of, while they are maybe at an event or something like that, they'll start putting their arm around them. And the girl at first is like, okay, maybe that's okay, or maybe it's not. And she's like, no, we're just friends. And the man will say, no, we're friends. And he'll kind of put his arms back around her and pull her in tighter. And as she tries to pull away, he kind of pulls back. And then if she really pulls away, then he'll go into this, oh, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I'm so awful. I'm dumb. And he goes into this self-defeating mode, which then causes the passion and the compassionate side of the woman to say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, and oh, it's okay. And she gives in. She allows him to do what she does not want him to do. She allows him to put his arm around her, and then he will take it to the next level. And he'll maybe put his other hand maybe on their thigh. Well, she's uncomfortable. But now she feels like she needs to show compassion and love for this guy because he's going to feel bad about himself. These are manipulations that are so real. They happen all the time. I know individuals who've been married based off of manipulation, and that they are still being manipulated in their relationship now, which is awful. And if you're in one of those situations, I feel so sorry for you. But now that you're aware of it, you can start making changes in your life. Okay, so we talked about force manipulation, kindness manipulation. Then we have the direct but intentional third-party manipulation. This is the type of manipulation that as I'm talking to somebody, I'm talking to person A because I want person B to hear it. So let me illustrate that. So just to make sure you understand. So here I am. And I'm talking to this person, but really I make sure we're in close distance so that as I'm talking to, let's say this is, I'm just going to use an example that I don't think I've used, but I have used. I have used this one. So this is me. And this is my wife. This is my child. This is the child that I want the message that I'm giving to my wife, my child to receive and to hear. So even though I'm speaking to her and I'm looking at her, all my focus seems like it's being here. My intention is really that this child would hear it. An example of that would be like, and this is not necessarily a negative example, but you've got to be mindful because this can be used in a negative way. But in this example, let's say I'm talking to my wife and say, oh, beautiful. I really would love to go get some ice cream today if everybody's jobs are done, okay? What do you think about that? And then my wife says, yeah, that'd be great. Now, I'm talking with my wife, but hoping my child hears it because then he's like, ooh, we're going to go get ice cream if our jobs are done. So then, therefore, he's going to get up and go do his jobs. That is still manipulation. But however, that can be used negatively. The same thing that could be used positively to help motivate a child could be used negatively. And an example of that, I'm going to go back to this boyfriend-girlfriend's relationship because I've seen it so much, or a husband-wife where they manipulate. Oh, actually, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go with the husband and wife. This one, sorry, getting a little passionate here. So this form of manipulation is where the one spouse is talking to a child to manipulate the other spouse. So if I'm the husband, I'm talking to a child to manipulate my wife. And how that would work is as I'm talking to my child about a problem, and it's my problem between my wife and I'm talking to her or him, my child, whoever that may be, so that my wife would hear it so that she kind of gets a clue, that she kind of gets the point. This is negative manipulation. Not okay. Any way, shape, or form, it is not okay. If it's happening to you, be mindful of it. If you're doing it, stop. If you have an issue, you need to go talk with that person. Don't bring third-party person into it, especially your children. Oh, no, don't do it. Okay, so we've talked about force, kindness, direct but intentional third-party manipulation. And now we're physical. I've already talked a little bit about the physical. But this is frequent, especially as our children are growing up. But I've even seen this in marriages where it's used in a negative way. I've seen it in high school. Bad. Oh, tremendously bad in high school. Girls will do things because I feel like that's the only way they will be liked. They're being manipulated by the men that they know. I wouldn't call them men, I call them boys. Boys that are not showing any kind of backbone, any kind of responsibility, and they need a whooping is what they need, a spanking. But a form of this kind of manipulation would be where they're out on a date and the guy says to the girl, or the guy starts putting the advances on the girl and she says, no, stop. And he says, you're exactly what everybody said. Oh, by him saying that, she instantly goes into this critical mode, which then brings down her morale, her safety that she's built up. And she starts thinking, what are they saying about me? What's going on? What are they saying? And then sometimes he'll literally ask, well, what are they saying? It's, oh, no. They said that you're this goody two-shoes, that you don't do anything. Well, because of the stigma that comes around being good sometimes, they're like, no, I'm not. And they will intentionally do something right then and there because they want to prove a point. To where that guy did it intentionally. He knew that he could do it. And he tested the waters a little bit, and then she would give in just a little bit. And then he'd do it more and give in a little bit more. This happens with poor, awful, lousy relationships. I know we've all seen people with lousy relationships. Well, now look back to when they're in high school and what that looks like. I mean, I could walk the hall of any high school and I could point out any negative relationship like that. Watch their body language. Watch how they interact with each other. When we're talking about negative manipulation, the person who is manipulating generally has the control. And they control by essentially kind of powering over them. If it's a good, healthy relationship, you'll kind of see them both standing tall. Yes, even if they're cuddling or hugging with each other, they're still standing tall. You can see the light in their eyes. But if it's not, you can see that she or he is in this relationship only because they don't feel like they can get any other kind of relationship at all. Another thing with physical. I hate this one. Okay. To where a spouse will tell another spouse that you need to do this if you want me to do this. And for example, I know I heard of a story. I've got to be careful here. Got to tread lightly. To where the spouse would tell the other person that I think you need to lose some weight. You need to do so many push-ups, so many sit-ups, so many pull-ups, so many whatever before going to bed tonight. What the heck? No! It's not his responsibility. We need to learn to love ourselves, not listen to a guy, telling me or anybody else what I should do. Now, as a husband to my wife, if I want her to lose weight, then you say, "Hey, honey, this is still a form of manipulation, but it's not in a negative way." You put it on you. You put it on your responsibility and say, "Hey, honey, I'm going to start exercising every night. Do you want to do it with me?" You're just asking her to join you. You're not telling her what she has to do. It's still her choice. It's still her choice. By you saying you need to lose weight and do this many push-ups or do this many sit-ups or do this or do that, it's wrong. You don't have the right. You're trying to manipulate them to be something that you want them to be. Instead, build them up and encourage them and say, "Wow, you look amazing. You look beautiful." The more confidence somebody has, the better the shape they get in mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially. Everything about them improves. Everything. Because they feel good about themselves. Somebody who feels good about themselves will take care of themselves. Somebody who does not feel good about themselves will not. They'll eat the junk food. They don't think twice about it. They don't think twice about, not doing exercise or eating that second, third, fourth, fifth plate of food. Because their confidence level and their self-esteem is the pits. But I've seen men do this all the time. Where they withhold, so if they are, they're married in a committed relationship, and they'll withhold being intimate because they don't look a certain way. Hey, you married her or him for a reason. You need to remember that reason. Now, if it's a negative reason, you need to then decide for yourself if you want to stay in that relationship. Personally, I don't believe that we need to endure a lot of pain that we can get out of. I just don't. If somebody's refusing to change and they're abusive, I don't believe we need to stay in that. Okay, here's the last form of manipulation we're going to talk about here. There are so many others, but these are the main ones. So I just wanted to point these out. The second one is rewards. Okay, reward manipulation looks something like this. To where we say, and this happens a lot with teens. It does happen to adults too, but where they're trying to get in a relationship and they'll be like, oh, I would love to get that item. And they do it intentionally around the person. So here's an example. A boy and a girl. We're just going to keep it simple here right now. We're watching TV and an ad pops up. And let's say it's an ad for some dumbbells. It's no reason, just ad for dumbbells. And the guy looks at that. Oh, I really would love to get some of those weights. Well, then some time would go by and he'll drop that hint again. Hey, you remember that the other day, those weights we got? I saw some the other day at the store. They're like $25. That'd be awesome to get some of those someday, wouldn't it? And he starts to then try to get her on his side of the story. Well, what's happening is he's playing a mind game. And he may be doing it intentionally or unintentionally, but it's still a mind game. So he's sitting here talking to her. And in his mind, he wants the dumbbells. And he's sitting there thinking, well, I don't have the money. Well, how could I get this? Now this can, like I said, this can happen intentionally or unintentionally. Well, he's thinking, I want those dumbbells. So he tells her, hey, remember the dumbbells we saw the other night? Connecting. So using an emotion here, remember the other, we saw, so bringing her into it, we saw the other night when we were watching the movie. So bringing them together, creating this emotional connection, creating a sense of belonging together. So remember that? Oh, yeah. Then she says, yeah. Then he says, well, I saw some at Target, and they were only $25. The exact same ones. Oh, wouldn't that be so great? Well, what he's intending is he's trying to put into her mind, oh, you know what? I should buy him the dumbbells. His whole intention is for her to get him these dumbbells. And so he keeps saying this over and over. And he'll drop it again and another time. Or he'll be like, oh, I saw so-and-so at this store the other day and they bought some of these dumbbells. Oh, we went here, they dumbbell. And he keeps dropping these hints of dumbbells. Well, what's happening is this becomes more and more buy. And now she starts connecting emotion to it. The emotion says, if I don't buy this or give this to him, then he's going to think I don't love him. He's going to think I don't care. He's going to think blah, blah, blah. And she starts to internalize the pain And then what does she end up doing? She buys him the dumbbells. This is a rewards manipulation. Parents can use this in a positive way. We use this all the time. Just like I told that example I use with my wife, doing direct intentional third party, to where I'm saying, I want to go out to dinner tonight with the family, but everybody has to have done their jobs. And so I can do that as I tell my kids, but instead of between my wife and I, it's direct. I say, okay, children, we're going to go out to dinner, but the ticket to go to dinner, all your jobs have to be done. It is manipulating, but it is not force. It is not trying to be physical in a sense. It's just like, this is the reward. This is what's going to happen. I want you to do this, and this is what's going to happen. That is a positive form of manipulation because there's a positive reaction and interaction that is going on. So I hope you appreciate this video today. It is happening more and more and more, especially the challenges and the things that are coming up and all the offended junk that is out there. Oh, I'm offended because he said this, or oh, I'm offended she said that, or oh, I'm offended they said that. I mean, oh, give me a break. Quit being offended. Quit wearing your feelings on your shirt sleeve. Move on. Make choices and decisions today that affect you, to empower you, to strengthen you, so that you can be the person you want to be. I'm back because I had already shot this video about manipulations, and this is what I talked about earlier. But as I was editing the video, something came up to me that really hit me strong that I didn't mention in the previous video, and that is regarding rewards. A lot of times, people will look at somebody else that they are wanting to get, to attract, or to take advantage of in any way that they might think of. And they will start giving gifts. And they just start showering gifts. Well, what they're intentionally trying to do is make it so that the person that they are giving these gifts to feel bad if they say no to anything that they want. I have seen relationships built on this, to where the woman, again, I'm using the woman even though I do know it goes both ways. I've seen women manipulate men using emotion. Ooh, I got to talk about that too, but we're going to go back to the other. So the guy will shower the woman with gifts. And generally this woman maybe has never been in a very strong or positive relationship. And so he'll just shower with gifts. You know, at work, she'll get gifts. Every time they meet each other, they get a gift. And this whole relationship's built on these gifts. Well, then, after he's kind of built in this, I'm going to call it kind of this solid core, he will start asking her to do things. Sometimes those things are against her values. They're against her morals that she has within herself. But now she feels committed. She feels like she can't say no. And the guy will take it further. Puts it past the point of her normal values to where she completely gives in. Where she gives in to do whatever he wants. And then that same guy, using the rewards, he will kind of, sometimes I've seen where they give a reward saying, oh, you were awesome. And I'm speaking specifically of some intimate favors right now. So he will give her a reward. And this reward is essentially kind of training her. This sounds awful and it sounds negative, and I wish it wasn't the case, but this is what happens. And this reward is a way of still maintaining control. Then what happens is the relationship goes on, and it's been built on this whole reward system. And he'll give a reward, she gives a pleasure. He'll give a reward, she gives a pleasure. And that pleasure is not always intimate, but most frequently it is. And then what happens is sometimes the relationship will then start getting really rocky, and he will use the mere fact that she broke down on her values against her. And he will say, there's nobody that's going to love you like I do. Look at this. I mean, you were a slut. You gave in to me. Nobody's going to want used trash. Nobody's going to want used items. I am here to tell you, you are not trash. Never have been, never will be. You are not trash. That man who does stuff like that, he is the one that needs to look in the mirror when he says trash. You are divine. And the honest truth is, he's afraid to lose you. He's afraid that you're going to walk out on him because you're his prize. He takes you around and he shows you off like this trophy that he won. And you'll frequently hear people say, well, how'd you get her? It's because they know him. You have been manipulated. I'm sorry, there must be somebody who I'm saying this for right now, because you may have been manipulated to the point by these rewards that you don't feel like you have any choice. You do. You are still free to choose. Even if you're in a marriage, you do not have to be manipulated. You do not have to allow manipulation. You do not need to give in to your husband. You do not need to give in to your wife. You still have your freedom, your choice. This is why good, solid relationships are built on communication. Positive, uplifting communication. Communication that does not put one another down, but builds each other up. And even when there's a conflict, you're able to talk about it. And then you're able to express love and care and support for being willing to talk about it. Rewards are frequently used by men to manipulate the women. I had to get that out there. There's somebody right now that needed to hear this, because as I was editing the video to get it up for you guys to watch, it just was coming back more and more and more. So now I want to talk about one more form of manipulation. I know this video is long, but it is a powerful one. And this is where, again, they use the rewards to develop the relationship. Then once they've got the relationship, they use your emotions against you. They use your values against you. They use your family against you. They tell you your parents aren't going to want to be with you anymore. Your friends aren't going to want to hang out with you. I'm the best thing you've got. They use verbiage like that, diminishing your value, diminishing your worth. I'm going to illustrate this again, and for those who are on the podcast, I'm going to try to describe it to you as well. So here I've got this box. Got a box here drawn on the board, and I want to you to imagine that you are standing in this box. Well, this box right now, you can easily step out of it. You can easily, get rid of it. You can kick it. You can destroy it and stuff like that. Well, what happens is as people are using your own morals and values against you, it's like putting a weight on your head. And so here's a weight. I just put it on your head. And then I put another weight and another weight and another weight. Well, what's happening is you cannot stand that pressure anymore. And so you get pushed down into this box. And you are much smaller than you were before. And so now you're this small person in this box. And you feel like this is all there is. Now, this feeling can be like, nobody else will love me. Nobody else cares. Nobody wants someone used. We start putting all this stuff in. And the manipulator uses this to their advantage. Because they like, you're right. They will say stuff like, nobody's going to want you, nobody's going to care, your family's not going to want you. And so one of the weights could be your own family. One of the weights could be your friends. Then they use the morals. Then they use values. Then they even use your church or your own belief system, whatever that may be. They use these in a negative way, pushing you down into the box because you gave into them. Because they gave you all these rewards, and then they then they get you to do something against your very values that you stand for, and they push you in this box. And as you're in this box, they have control of you. I wish it was not so, but they can pretty much move this box wherever they want, whenever they want. I've seen this where the person will go on trips, and while they're on a trip, the man, again, like I said, I understand it works both ways, but I am specifically speaking from a man to a woman's perspective. And from the man, he will take and go places with her. And while they're out, frequently treat her very well. But then when they get back home, they get back into the apartment or the hotel, wherever they're at, they'll say condescending and cutting remarks. Why did you say that? You definitely don't wear that dress again or that outfit. Oh, those shoes are awful. They will say things about things that you like. Because then what starts happening is your brain starts to essentially degrade. That you don't think that you have anything of value or worth. And that you can't think for yourself. They are controlling you so much so you don't even realize it. And the sad thing is you have family, friends, all of these people that they've used as a weight now, they actually can see what's happening. But you don't believe them. You don't believe that they really care. Because the person who's put you in this box has made you feel like they are the only ones that care about who you are. They have made you feel like you are nothing without them. To where the truth of the matter is, they are afraid to lose you. You have so much more power if you just use it. You don't have to stay in a relationship like this. Nobody has to stay in a relationship like this. And if it's an abusive relationship, physically, and your life is threatened, go get help from your local police officers. Go get help from a support group. You don't have to stay with this person. I don't care who it is. You don't have to stay with them. They are more afraid of losing you than they are of keeping you. Because they've got you in your little box. They've got you trapped. They can use you how they want. And they move you around from point A to point B and C. I mean, they just move you around wherever they want. And they use you however they want. You don't even realize you're being used. Because you think, oh, this is just such a wonderful relationship. Even though you may be crying half of the time, those few minutes of joy, those few minutes of happiness make you endure the pain even more. Because you don't feel like there's anybody else who can give you that any happiness. And they've made you feel like they are the only ones that can. And that nobody else will love you. Nobody else will care for you like they will. And then they just use it over and over again. I hope whoever this was for, I hope this was valuable. Because you really are amazing. Please believe it. Believe in yourself. Trust in yourself. Look at the relationships you're in. Identify if manipulation is going on. And if that manipulation is going on, be mindful of it so that you can stop it. That you can stop it. You can confront the person. Again, if this is a safety issue, go to your police officers. Get help. You deserve it. You are amazing. Believe it.